Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Public Utilities for the City of Santa Rosa to order. If we may have a roll call, please.
Board Member Wright?
Here.
Board Member Mullen?
Here.
Board Member DeWitt is absent. Board Member Bartholow?
Here.
Board Member Badenfort is absent. Vice Chair Arnone?
Here.
And Chair Galvin?
Here.
Let the record reflect that all board members are present with the exception of Board Member DeWitt and Board Member Badenfort.
Thank you again. Good afternoon. We're going to reorder the agenda and take item number 15, years of outstanding service and contribution to the City of Santa Rosa and the community. And I have happily signed this proclamation. Andy, congratulations. I'll open it up for any board member comments. I'm guessing Mr. Wright might have something to say.
Well, congratulations. You're going to enjoy retirement, as I and most of your fellow retired city employees do. Andy and I've probably known Andy most of that 30 years, a good portion of it anyway, maybe not the very beginning, and worked with him for many years in utilities. It's difficult when you lose a person that's been around a long time that has a lot of history, because it is so easy just to go ask the person the answer to a question about what happened when, then do the days or weeks of research that oftentimes it takes to figure it out. So you'll be missed from the city, and congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Excuse me, Chair Galvin.
Yes.
We've lost internet connection and thus lost Zoom connection. So I'd like to request that we take a short break while we look into this.
All right. Sorry, Andy. Should we take a photo? Yeah. Andy, why don't you come down and I'll present you with the proclamation and we'll take a photo and then go back on the record.
And Andy, completely up to you, but we would like to invite you, your family, if you would like a picture with you and your team or whoever with the board, just let us know and we'll take any and all photos you would like.
All right, we're back on the record. I'll speak next. Andy, I've known you since 2030 Club days, so it's been even before you were a member of our community here at the city. So I want to thank you for all your work, and I've enjoyed the pleasure of your company many times, both professionally and socially, and I wish you all the best of luck in your retirement. Bartholomew?
Thank you, Chair Galvin. Hi, Andy. I've never met you before, but I'm very excited for you. Congratulations. That's a wonderful career you've had here, and it sounds like you're a very popular guy, so enjoy.
Board Member Mullen?
Yeah, I also have never met you, but I've actually seen your name on some documents that have been floating around over the time. Just know that you'll live on in those documents because they keep them forever. 30 years anywhere is a real tribute, and in your case, for an organization like this, you have seen it grow and expand, and all the wonderful, valuable projects that you have, your fingerprints are all over. Is a real tribute to you, and you'll be able to look back fondly on your time here, I hope. And I'm sure we're going to miss you, but hopefully there's more people that'll step up and try to fill your shoes. So congratulations. Enjoy retirement. Just find time for your family and to fill the space that you leave behind. Good luck.
Vice Chair Arnone?
So congratulations, Andy. I have met you. So I won't say a lot, but I'll simply say that I really have enjoyed your presentations. You always are calm. You are always to the point. You always have a good humor about you, and all those things make for a pleasant working environment. So thank you for bringing that to the city and sharing it with us, and enjoy your retirement.
Assistant City Manager Nett?
Congratulations. It has been a true pleasure working with you over the last almost, 20 years on and off. And I am so appreciative of the work and effort that you've done and put in for this community. The feedback from your colleagues during the time that you and I worked closely together was always how positive, how calm, how rational, how much they enjoyed just the interactions with you. And that piece that you brought to the organization was really important for us, especially when we had a lot of transition. That actually helped relax staff. And you've done a phenomenal job throughout your career. We're going to miss you, and thank you for all of the time that you were there and for the partnership that I got to have with you. So congratulations.
Director Burke?
Thank you. Well, Andy, I have had the pleasure of working with you for a number of years. I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy for your family that you get to retire. I'm sad for us. You leave big shoes to fill. You're a brilliant engineer. You are so calm and able to just talk with our developers and our communities and our staff and bring that presence and professionalism and knowledge and skill set that just makes everyone feel heard and understands exactly what's needed to be done. You protect our community and our community systems, and you're just an absolute pleasure to work with. And so I have enjoyed learning from you, working with you, and again, very happy for you, sad for us, and I just wish you all the best in an extremely well-deserved retirement. Congratulations.
Andy, the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you. Thank you all. That was so very nice of all of you to, those kind words are wonderful. I think I'm going to start in chronological order. So that takes me back 29 years when I was applying for a job here, almost 30 years ago, applying for the job. So I want to thank Tony Cabrera and Steve Allen for hiring me. My background was not in direct civil engineering. I'm a soils engineer, geotechnical engineer. And they saw something in me, and I was happy to jump on board and start working in the Community Development Department, now Planning and Economic Development. A lot of name changes over the years. I do thank Bob Harder. He hired me, or he got me transferred to the Utilities Department, now the Water Department. It was good, and I was in what was previous, it had a different name, but Advanced Planning, I think, and now it's called Asset Management. I was fortunate that I got promoted to Supervising Engineer as the current development, and now that's Water Engineering Services, another name change. Tough to keep all this old brain to keep all those straight. It was, it was my favorite part of the job, or my career here, is working with developers. Started downtown, and then when I moved to water, I was focused on sewer and water utilities, and I was happy to fill that role for quite a few years. 2008, there was an economic downturn and engineering reorg, and I was fortunate enough to, Colleen Ferguson took me on in transportation and public works as the supervising engineer of a capital projects team. Never done that before. She saw something in me, so I ran that team for quite a while. And then Jennifer brought me back to water, over into the asset management group. And then a few years ago, with an opening back in water engineering services, Lori Urbanik was so kind as to just let me transfer over there within the division. And then that's where I wrote out my career. And again, that's probably what I do best and feel best doing, is working with developers and homeowners and the like, getting everybody connected to city, sewer, and water. Took a few notes here, and I've read most of them. I do appreciate the staff I've had over the years. Currently, great staff. Back when I first was in current development, there were 11 of us in that group, and now we're 6. Six. So I have 5 staff doing the work that had been being done by 11, and we have fortunate that technology makes the job easier, but it still takes people, and so and you need good people. So I've been, fortunately, almost all the employees I've been able to work with are great. So I do appreciate my staff, and happy to have had them on board with me. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Assistant City Manager Nutt and Glenn Wright. They were a couple of my supervisors during that interim period where I was bouncing back and forth, and I appreciate their guidance and support. And of course, my current director, Burke, and Deputy Director Urbanik, very much appreciate their leadership and kind of let me do my job without interfering and not overriding my decisions too often. So it was good. And thanks to the board. I definitely want to thank the board. You're always prepared and knowledgeable. You ask informed questions. I will say I wore a tie today in deference to former Chair Dick Dowd. Always wore a tie. And he always would ask great questions. But I always knew he knew the answer, but he wanted me to say it out loud to help the presentation go better. And that was some tremendous amount of support. So I probably missed a few people. I do appreciate my wife watching over me and making sure I get up and get to work every day. So now I'm worried she's going to want me to get up every day and go do something, but appreciate it. And fortunately, one of my daughters is here. She's probably the reason I got very interested in a permanent position with the city, because she was born in November, and I started work at the end of December in 1995. So always remember how old she is or how long I've worked here. I only need to remember one of those two things. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words. Sorry to the folks that have presentations that are being held up, and thank you very much. I'm very honored to receive this proclamation.
We may not be done with you yet, Andy. Now going to open it up for public comment. So if there's anybody in the audience that wants to take a shot at Andy, here's your chance.
Oh, you're lucky.
Nobody. All right, then that'll conclude the proclamation portion of our meeting. Again, congratulations. Much good luck in your retirement. We'll miss you. All right, any statements of abstention by board members? We have no study session. We have minutes from the July 17th meeting. I'll open it up for public comment on those minutes. Seeing no one rise, the minutes will be entered. We'll now move to our one staff briefing. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our staff briefing is our water and recycled water supply update. And Peter Martin, Deputy Director, Water Resources, and Mike Prinz, Deputy Director of Regional Water Reuse Operations, will be making the presentation.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
All right, good afternoon, Chair Galvin, members of the board. Pleased to be before you today with a brief water and recycled water supply update. In terms of storage in Lake Pillsbury, storage is at about 34,200 acre feet. You'll notice, based on the trend line, that it is lower than the more recent history of storage at this time of year. PG&E had been asking FERC for their variance for flows and releases into the East Fork of the Russian River. They actually filed it fairly early this year. FERC was delayed in issuing that decision until Monday of this week. So I anticipate you'll see that that line should level off substantially. But they obviously are trying to reduce the risk of temperature issues in the eel, as well as once storage gets below 15,000 acre feet in Lake Pillsbury, they have some issues with sloughing off of sediments, as well as the ability to continue to supply water downstream. So obviously it's getting later in the year, so anticipate that they should be able to continue to resume normal operations throughout the year. Obviously, that will result in reduced flows into the upper Russian River as a result of the issuance of that variance request. Lake Mendocino is currently at about 88,000 acre feet in storage. And so definitely ample storage again in Lake Mendocino this year. Just recently, within the last couple months, they did regain control of the decisions on the deliveries out of Lake Mendocino, Sonoma Water, excuse me. In the wintertime when it's above the flood control pool, the Army Corps retains control over decisions for releases. Currently at about 145 acre feet reduction per day, and releases are at about 200 cubic feet per second over the last week or so. Again, similar story in Lake Sonoma. The only difference is the Army Corps just handed over control back to Sonoma Water for coming out of the flood control storage pool. We're currently at about 244,000 acre feet of storage. Lots of supply going into the drier months of the summertime. I just wanted to highlight a couple outreach opportunities and regional outreach activities going on between the Sonoma Marin Saving Water Partnership. As you're aware, Santa Rosa Water is a member of the partnership with 14 other different agencies in Sonoma and Marin. The state fair is going on through this weekend. The theme is hot dogs and cool cats. And within that theme, The partnership is working with the Master Gardeners for a exhibit in the Hall of Flowers called It's Raining Cats and Dogs, about how to harvest rain on your property. Furthermore, there is a lot of social media and other outreach going on over the last few months regarding having a climate-ready landscape. You can go to the partnership's website and find, amongst other things regarding your local utility, templates for landscapes that are climate-ready. They use the WaterSmart plant picker, which is a branded WaterSmart plant picker that you can find at local nurseries, identifying those plants as WaterSmart. The climate forward tree list, so readiness for climate change, trees that will withstand future climate possibilities, maintenance opportunities for your garden, and irrigation scheduling, technical assistance, and rebates for your garden. And then I just wanted to highlight a event going on August 21st. It is a joint community resource workshop for the two groundwater sustainability agencies, the Santa Rosa Plain Groundwater Sustainability Agency and the Petaluma Valley Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And it's called Beneath the Surface, 10 Years of Local Groundwater Basin Stewardship, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which obviously created groundwater sustainability agencies. There will be resources for groundwater users throughout the basins, as well as technical assistance and support and one-on-one conversations with various specialists to get folks the resources they need and opportunities provided through the Groundwater Sustainability Agency. Links to the event, you have to register in advance, are provided on this presentation. And you can also go to Santa Rosa plaingroundwater.org to learn more information as well. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I'll hand it over to Deputy Director Prinz.
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, Chair Galvin, members of the board. Mike Prinz, Deputy Director, Regional Water Reuse Operations. I wanted to begin my recycled water supply update today with some photographs of our recent geysers shutdown. We shut the geysers system down for roughly 2 weeks every summer so that we can do annual maintenance that requires a shutdown in order to do that. And starting off, I have a picture of the E Station wet well, which is adjacent to the lowest geysers pump station just across from the Laguna treatment plant. We took an opportunity to get some maintenance done within that wet well that I'm not sure has been done in quite a long time, actually. This is another perspective looking down into the wet well. Obviously, we have some staff working in there. You can see where the green residue on the side of the wet well shows roughly where the high water would normally be. So there was a lot of dewatering that was necessary to get into this wet well. This is a perspective on two of the pumps in that wet well, showing the intake channels for those pumps. The one on the right has a spotlight on it that shows debris that was blocking flow in one of the intake screens for these pumps. And staff noticed that and took an opportunity to lower the water level and get in and remove that debris because it was more than likely impeding flow and or efficiency of the pump itself. This is a photograph. That's Steve Jacobs, one of our senior reclamation system operators, just demonstrating the debris that was around that screen. The buckets and the cone were not in the wet well, but you can see there was a substantial amount of visqueen and some sample bottles and other debris that was in there. It's probably something that we're going to wind up doing on a semi-regular basis, if only to inspect and make sure we don't have debris accumulating in there. We don't know exactly where the debris came from or how long it was there, but it's good we got it out while we had the opportunity. Moving on substantially down the pipeline to the Bear Canyon Pump Station wet well, we have noticed for a number of years some corrosion developing on the pumps in that wet well, and we took an opportunity this year after dewatering the wet well and pumping out some residue that was in that wet well, which is normally done, but we took an opportunity to do some spot repairs on the pumps themselves. You can see there are 5 pumps. 5 pump strings in the 3 pump stations on the hill. The Bear Canyon pump station being the lowest of the 3 on the Pine Flat Road section of the pipeline. This is just another perspective. In the background is Leo Olvera, one of our staff who was actually doing the work on the pumps, and it just gives you a little bit of perspective of the size of those pumps. And also, you can see on the wall roughly where the water level normally would be. So there was a lot of dewatering required to get into that wet well and complete that work. Very happy that he was able to get in and do this work. It's been a concern for staff for a number of years, so it's great that this work could be done during the shutdown. Moving on, this is a chart that you have seen versions of in the past. Really just want to draw your attention to 2 parts of it. The black line represents the flow trend over the course of this water year. You can see in the months of October through essentially January that we were looking at some pretty high average monthly flows. A lot of water was produced in that time of the year. We even actually had a higher peak flow this year than last year, as evidenced by the black trend in February. And it's the time of the year where flow trends converge in the neighborhood of 15 million gallons a day, average dry weather flow. It will continue to drop until sometime in October, more than likely. This shows you the monthly average flow. The next chart shows you several years worth of annual production. You can see in this trend that 2016 was quite a substantial production year, one of the highest in recent history, followed by 2018. And if you look over at the gray bar on the right side, that is the estimated production for calendar year 24, I should say water year 24-25. We can pretty accurately predict the annual flow volume because the flows are very consistent because we're not getting any rain right now. So through October, we would estimate that production will be in the neighborhood of 7.4 billion gallons, which is a pretty significant production year for us. Moving on, this is a trend that you have seen versions of also in the past. The red jagged line represents the current water year storage trend. I want to draw your attention to the right-hand side of that trend where you can see it sort of levels out in mid-July, and that represents the geysers shutdown, where flow trends represent sort of a balance between production and irrigation demand without the geysers operating. Just after this trend, in the first part of August, when the geysers came back online, the trend started to drop. So in a future recycled water supply update, you will see a trend similar to the black trend after the last year's geysers shut down as well. So with that, Peter and I are available to answer questions if you may have any.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll open up now for any board member questions or comments. Seeing none, I'll open it now for public comment. If you wish to make a public comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one rise, you two are excused. Thank you. We have 3 items on the consent calendar.
Move adoption of the consent calendar.
I second.
A motion and a second. Motion by Vice Chair Arnone, seconded by Board Member Bartholow. I'll now open it up for any public comment on the consent calendar. Seeing no one rise, may we have a roll call, please?
Board Member Wright?
Aye.
Board Member Mullen?
Aye.
Board Member Bartholow?
Aye.
Vice Chair Arnone?
Aye.
And Chair Galvin?
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect the consent calendar passes with unanimously with Board Member DeWitt and Badenford absent.
Thank you. We'll now move to report item 8.1. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our first report item is a funding agreement between Santa Rosa Water and the State Water Resources Control Board, and authorizing and designating representatives for the Assistance Request 6092 Robin Way Water System Consolidation Project. And making the presentation will be Andy Allen, our supervising engineer with our water engineering services team, and Candace Michael, assistant engineer with our asset management team.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair Galvin, members of the board. My name is Candace Michael, and I'm an assistant engineer with the asset management team of the Santa Rosa Water Department. I also have with me today Andrew Allen, newly proclaimed and retiring supervising engineer of Water Engineering Services, as support for questions you may have. Today I will be presenting on the funding agreement for Assistance Request 6092 for the Robin Way Water System Consolidation Project initiated by the California State Water Board. I will be discussing the project background, site location, the request for assistance issued by the Water Board, the prior review by BPU and City Council, a brief analysis of the project, and recommendations by the Water Department. The State Water Board monitors the water quality of private water systems throughout the state of California. Some of those private water systems have existing groundwater sources that exceed the state maximum contaminant levels of nitrates, arsenics, and PFAS. In 2011, a reported water quality sample from the Robin Way water system exceeded the nitrate contamination level by 50%. The Water Board issued a citation requiring Robin Way to increase their sampling and reporting to a quarterly basis. In May and June of 2019, reported samples exceeded contamination levels, and a compliance order was issued requiring that the water system needed to find an alternative source of drinking water. A water consolidation with the City of Santa Rosa water distribution system was the only feasible option since the aquifer in the area is contaminated. It was concluded that other small surrounding systems could participate in the water consolidation project and connect up to 29 parcels with a combined 118 residential units to the water system. The Robin Way water system is located on the west side of 101 off Moreland and Bellevue Avenues. This project is not currently located within the city limits. LAFCO has recommended that the area enclosed within the thick black boundary be annexed into the City of Santa Rosa. The 5 blue highlighted parcels are currently served by the Robin Way water system, which has reported exceedance of nitrate levels. The green highlighted parcels are served by several small water systems and private wells, most of which are unregulated and with unknown contamination levels. Since these systems are adjacent to the wells with reported nitrate exceedance, it is assumed that they are contaminated. These additional 24 parcels are being given the option to be included in the consolidation project. Through Senate Bill 88, the Water Board, through a compliance order, has mandated that the Robin Way water system consolidate with the City of Santa Rosa water system to be provided with safe drinking water. Proposition 1 grant funding has covered all the planning costs up to now. We're at about 90% plan completion, and will cover all future planning, design, construction, and connection costs. Assistance Request 6092 through the Water Board's Technical Assistance Program is providing assistance for the Robin Way consolidation by facilitating meetings with communities and regulatory agencies, conducting community outreach, and providing funding application assistance, as well as hiring an engineer consulting firm to complete preliminary engineering and project reports, water distribution plans and specifications, and connection plans. They're also helping with CEQA documentation. Previous BPU and council review includes: on November 29th of 2016, the City Council approved the Roseland Area Pre-Annexation Agreement with Sonoma County, and adopted Resolution 28886 with LAFCO for reorganization of 5 county islands in southwest Santa Rosa. On September 24th of 2024, the City Council approved the LAFCO application for pre-zoning the annexation area to R1 and R2, single-family and multifamily residential units. On October 8th of 2024, the City Council approved the ordinance to pre-zone the parcels to R1 and R2, single and multifamily residential. Right now, the application is being reviewed by, it's in my notes and I just forgot, I'm sorry. It's in the City Assessor's Office. Right now, it's probably going to be complete in a couple weeks, and then the final application will be submitted to LAFCO. The Robin Way Consolidation Project includes the connection of up to 29 parcels with a combined 118 units. The 5 parcels on Robin Way have been mandated by the State Water Board to connect to the Santa Rosa water system, and the other 24 parcels are being given the option to connect. All of the parcels and connections have been approved by the Water Board to be included in the funding application for reimbursement of planning, construction, and connection costs. Each of the potential 118 units will benefit from safe domestic drinking water and sufficient water pressure and flow for fire protection. There are also not any fire hydrants in the Robin Way neighborhood or on the frontage of Bellevue Avenue, where where the annexation area is. Part of this project will also be ensuring fire suppression infrastructure is installed to city standard. The next step in the consolidation process is for Santa Rosa Water to submit the funding application to the State Water Board for reimbursement of all costs. The Water Board requires approval from the Board of Public Utilities to carry out the consolidation project, enter into a funding agreement, and to accept and expend funds for the consolidation project. It is recommended by the Water Department that the Board of Public Utilities, by resolution, authorize Santa Rosa Water to carry out AR 6092, the Robin Way Water System Consolidation Project, and to authorize the Director of Santa Rosa Water or designee to enter into a funding agreement with the State Water Resources Control Board, accept and expend state funds for the project, provide all assurance, certification, and commitments in connection with the funding agreement, and to sign and approve any agreements, amendments, invoices, and requests for reimbursement. And with that, it's open for questions and answers.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. We'll open it up to questions. Board Member Wright.
Thank you. Yeah, these are great projects, great for the city. We get demand fees and we get customers. Great for the residents, they get good water. Not so great for the state because they have to pay for everything. So I'm just curious, what is the status? I know when we first started this like 15 years ago, there was a laundry list of projects at that time, and since then, while I've been on the board, we've knocked off 2 or 3 of them, and we did several before. How many are left on the list to do, and is the state going to continue to have money to pay for this stuff? And you probably don't have the answers to the second question, but and what's your sense? Thank you very much. Good presentation.
Thank you. Well, I think right now, the second project, the 9 connections, is in CIP. There was one other project before, both of these under Andrew Allen's supervision, the Connect 4 as well. So Connect 4 was complete. We're in, the late stages of design for the 9 connections, which is, I think, 7 mobile home parks and then 2 other communities as well. And then this will be the 3rd. And we have, I know, 2 more in queue after this. And I think it's going to be an ever-growing list.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Well, you think it's going to be what?
Oh, the list is going to continue to grow.
And the state hasn't said they're going to stop paying, or as far as we know, they're going to continue to cooperate?
As far as I know.
Yeah, okay.
I think they move forward when they have the funds to do that. It's grant funded, so the state has to budget for that, those monies. If there's money in the budget, then they'll continue to move forward with that. Depends on the political climate of what they're willing to continue to put into that fund. But at the moment, these appear to all be covered with the existing funds.
Okay, well, that's good news. Thank you for the presentation.
Director Burke?
Sorry, through the chair, if I could just add, if the state does a mandatory consolidation, which is what this is, they have to provide the funding. So that is also the piece. So if they're going to mandatory consolidate, they have to find the funding.
Thank you. Board Member Bartholow?
Thank you, Chair Galvin. Thank you for the presentation. I think you said that there were 24 parcels that are not mandated to be part of this. 5 are, 24 aren't is what I think you said. So for those 24 that aren't, I think you also said that many of those are not being regularly tested or surveilled. So my question is, now that, you know, they've probably known for a while, obviously, but is there any help for those parcel owners to start testing? Because it's very likely that their water is also contaminated, and that part of the city, you know, may struggle with costs like that a little bit more.
I'm unaware if there's any funding available for testing. The water systems are mandated to do testing. A private well on a single property, I don't believe is mandated to do that. I think that we're in an area where the property owners are may not want to spend any additional funds. They don't have to, but it sure would be good that they would be able to let their tenants know what their water quality is or isn't. It would be, you know, we can bring that up at the next meeting, and we meet monthly on projects like this and see if there's some state push to get it done or funding available within the program. But that's what we know.
Board Member Mullen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Forgive me if the questions I'm about to ask you've covered in previous presentations, so please tell me if you've already done that and I can stop. But several questions. I think you mentioned that both the existing parcels and the new potential parcels would be annexed to the city, and as such would be required to meet all the city requirements for things like metering, for landscape guidelines, and everything that is required for city development. Is that true in this case?
Yes, yes, that's correct. There's also a couple of single-family parcels, I think maybe 5 single-family parcels on the east side of Bellevue Avenue that are in the annexation area as well.
Secondly, is any of us that have had experience working with the state, sometimes the funding is on a slow roll. And if there's obviously a need here, and so we're going to proceed based on an agreement and a confirmation of funding. If there, for whatever reason, is a delay in reimbursing us for those costs, and we carry the financial burden, do we have a plan B in the event that that happens?
On the previous project that we did, the funding came in on a regular basis. We billed out on a monthly basis as the project was being constructed, and there were no issues. Ultimately, we have to, the city and the water department has to pay the contractor on the contract basis, and we pay them as they progress through the project. And then we submit to the state for reimbursement, and then they reimburse us for those costs, for our costs, for the contractor costs, and all the rest. So I would guess there's some legal way to push the state, but I would defer to somebody else to answer a question like that. So far, we've had the one force system project, and that was several years ago. There weren't any issues with that, but it's we got a big project. The 9 system is going to be there's a lot of money going out to our contractor once we get the plans done and to the contractor. So I'm not expecting any issues, but that's why we signed this funding agreement. The state won't let us proceed with construction till that funding agreement's in place, and they know what the costs are going to be. We negotiate that cost based on the engineer's estimate and all the additional costs for our staff to administrate the project.
And thank you for that. And again, I want to compliment the staff for you obviously have a very solid foundation and relationship with the state on projects like this that's been going on for a long period of time, and that should serve us very well here. Last question is, do we know if the funding source that we're utilizing for this project has federal money in it, or it's strictly state?
I think it's just state funding.
It's a state Prop 1.
All right. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Arnone?
So I understand that there's a group of these parcels that are mandated to connect, and then there are a group of these parcels that have the option to connect if they choose to do so. Those are the blue properties and the red properties on the map we saw earlier. But the annexation area included an area to the east. And I'm curious, and I know we're not driving this ship, this is a state decision, but do we know why those areas in the east part of the annexation are not included in the optional category of being able to connect?
That's designated by LAFCO. The application went to LAFCO to annex just the green and blue parcels, and they said because it's contiguous with the city limits, current city limits, they mandated that extra spot on the east side of Moreland, and that isn't part of the project, but it was needed to be part of the annexation, and so.
Got it. So it was driven by LAFCO.
It was a county LAFCO decision.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Any other board member questions or comments? All right, we'll open it up to, actually, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt a resolution of the Board of Public Utilities authorizing Santa Rosa Water to enter into funding agreement with the State Water Resources Control Board and authorizing the designating representatives for the assistance request AR 6092 Robin Way Water System Consolidation Project, and waive the reading of the text.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Arnone, seconded by Board Member Mullen. At this time, we'll now open it up for public comment on item 8.1. See no one rise. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Wright?
Aye.
Board Member Mullen?
Aye.
Board Member Bartholow?
Aye.
Vice Chair Arnone?
Aye.
And Chair Galvin?
Aye.
Okay. Let the record reflect that passes unanimously with Board Members DeWitt and Badenfort absent.
Thank you again for the presentation. You did very well. And that's probably your last one, right, Andy?
Well done.
All right, we'll move on to item 8.2. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Item 8.2 is an agreement between the City of Santa Rosa and Sonoma Water to continue the creek stewardship program through fiscal year 2030-2031. And making the presentation will be Kyle Smongberg, environmental specialist with our Stormwater and Creeks team. And it looks like we also have Steve Brady, our senior environmental specialist with our Stormwater and Creeks team.
Thank you, Director Burke. Good afternoon, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Before you today is a request to extend the Creek Stewardship Funding Agreement between Sonoma Water and the City of Santa Rosa through fiscal year 2030 and 2031. The Creek Stewardship Program was established in 2002 and has served as a valuable partnership between Sonoma Water and the City of Santa Rosa, promoting strong coordination and communication between our organizations as we work together to protect and care for our local creeks. The proposed agreement would provide continued funding for the Creek Stewardship Program for an additional 6 years. During this time, the city will receive $615,000 from Sonoma Water to coordinate the program. The program's objectives and benefits are to highlight the value of our local creeks by hosting volunteer creek cleanups, educational activities with community members, support volunteer creek stewards who identify and report maintenance issues, trash, and illegal activities along our creeks, to provide timely and effective responses to these reports in coordination with Sonoma Water staff, and to support Sonoma Water permit compliance, stormwater permit compliance through outreach and pollution prevention. Since 2002, the program has removed over 19,000 cubic yards of trash from city creeks. We've engaged with nearly 150,000 people while hosting volunteer creek cleanups, restoration work days, community outreach events, and educational presentations to city schools and summer programs. These events and presentations resulted in more than 80,000 community service hours and over 100,000 education hours, focusing on our storm drain systems, watershed processes, and pollution prevention. In an effort to continue this program, it is recommended by Santa Rosa Water that the Board of Public Utilities, by resolution, authorize the Director of Santa Rosa Water to execute the funding agreement with Sonoma Water to continue the Creek Stewardship Program through fiscal year 2030 and 2031. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Any board member questions or comments? All right, then at this point, I'll open it up for public comments on item 8.2. If you wish to make a public comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one rise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that the Board of Public Utilities, by resolution, authorize the Director of Santa Rosa Water to execute the funding agreement with Sonoma Water to continue the Creek Stewardship Program through fiscal year 2030-2031.
Second.
Motion by Chair, by Board Member Wright. You got a promotion. Seconded by Board Member Mullen. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Wright?
Aye.
Board Member Mullen?
Aye.
Board Member Bartholow?
Aye.
Vice Chair Arnone?
Aye.
And Chair Galvin?
Aye.
Let the record reflect that resolution passes unanimously with Board Members DeWitt and Badenford absent.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Move to item 8.3. Director Burke.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. Our last report item is our annual stormwater enterprise charges. Making the presentation will be Nick Lynn, our research and program coordinator, and Claire Myers, our stormwater and creeks manager, both with the stormwater and creeks team.
Thank you, Director Burke. Good afternoon, Chair Galvin and other members of the board. I'm pleased to be here today to discuss the annual stormwater enterprise charges. As you may recall, past presentations to the board, unlike other divisions of Santa Rosa Water, the stormwater and creeks team is not funded by the stormwater enterprise. We are primarily funded by the stormwater enterprise fund, what is sometimes referred to as the stormwater assessment. Because of the upcoming City Council public hearing on collection of stormwater assessment fees, we are here today to give a brief reminder of how the stormwater enterprise was established, what activities it funds, and how charges are calculated and collected. Starting with the history of the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, the enterprise was established by City Council in 1996 as a long-term funding source to comply with stormwater regulations. Specifically, the city is required under the Federal Clean Water Act to obtain and comply with a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, also known as the NPDES permit, and waste discharge requirements for discharges from the municipal separate storm sewer systems, or the stormwater permit, or MS4. To meet these requirements, the council added Title 16 to the city code in 1996, which created a stormwater enterprise and utility as an agent of the city. Doing this ensured a stable funding source to comply with permit regulations and gave the city resources to control and reduce flooding, property damage, erosion, and stormwater quality in the city. The fee funds implementation of the city's stormwater permit, as well as other activities to mitigate the impacts of pollution that stormwater carries into the storm drain system and ultimately into the creeks and waterways. This includes creek restoration and stewardship, flood protection, public education, storm drain maintenance, and stormwater quality testing. It does not provide funding to evaluate or upgrade the storm drain system. Title 16 also authorizes City Council to prescribe and collect charges for the services and facilities of the enterprise, which I'm going to talk about next. So now that we've gone over how the funding source was established and what it's used for, we're going to go into how the fees are actually calculated. The stormwater enterprise charges are levied against each parcel of real property in the city and are charged annually. Fees are calculated using a formula outlined in Resolution 22880, adopted in 1996, and are based on the equivalent residential unit, or ERU. The ERU considers a parcel size, amount of impervious surface, and land use. The ERU is adjusted each year based on the Consumer Price Index. This year, the cost per ERU is $42.46, which is also the average fee for a parcel in the city. This represents a 2.7% increase from last year, in line with the Consumer Price Index. The ERU fee amount was adopted by City Council on June 17th as part of the city's budget process. Charges for each parcel in town are provided on the annual Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report, which is made available to the public online and in person at the city manager's office. So how do we collect these fees? In order to simplify the payment process for property owners and minimize collection expenses, the charges are collected on the Sonoma County property tax roll on the city's behalf. As shown on this slide, the charge appears on the parcel owner's property tax bills and is collected by the County of Sonoma on behalf of the city. The charges have been collected annually on the tax roll since they were established in 1996. Every year, Santa Rosa City Council holds a public hearing to, 1, adopt the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report that shows the amount of the fee for each parcel, and 2, approve placing the charges on the county property tax roll for collection and allow the public the opportunity to protest the method of collecting charges. They can't protest the fee amount that was approved during the budget process in June. They are just able to protest how the fees are collected. Property owners may protest the placement of the stormwater enterprise charges on the Sonoma County property tax roll by either speaking at the public hearing or submitting a written protest. If the council finds the protest is made by a majority of parcel owners of properties in the report shall not be adopted and the charges shall be collected separately from the tax roll. The public hearing on the stormwater enterprise collection is scheduled for this month on August 19th at City Council. A notice of public hearing was published in the Press Democrat on August 4th and will be republished on August 11th. A hard copy of the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report is available at City Manager's office and online. Therefore, it is recommended by the Water Department that the board, by motion, recommend that City Council move forward with a public hearing on August 19th, 2025 to adopt by a 2/3 vote the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report and approve placement of the Stormwater Enterprise charges on the Sonoma County property tax roll to be collected by the Sonoma County Auditor, Controller, Treasurer, Tax Collector at the same time and in the same manner as Sonoma County property taxes are collected, unless those charges do not meet the county minimum of $10 and/or parcel owner contact information is known to be incorrect. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll open it up for any board member questions or comments. Board Member Mullen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So relative to the storm water program and this funding source, the previous item we had about the creek stewardship, that's all part of the work that you do. Is that correct?
Yes, all part of the same team.
And so the agreement we just approved with the Sonoma Water to provide $600,000 and change towards that program, if the cost to administer that creekside stewardship program exceed that $600,000, this is the funding source that would make up the difference. Is that correct?
Correct. The Creek Stewardship Program funding by Sonoma Water is in addition to the stormwater assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Bartholow.
Thank you, Chair Galvin. I am wondering what kind of public outreach happens around this. I know people, when they get their property tax bills, and like on the example you showed there are 9 separate charges, and sometimes it's just the sheer number that starts to upset people. So I'm wondering about public education around what the stormwater enterprise is. I know you're having a hearing, but is there anything else happening? Social media, something that's not costly necessarily.
For the public hearing itself, like we said, that is published on 2 days in the newspaper. So that is how how members of the public are able to find out about that. There's a phone number for people who have questions. We do get a lot of phone calls from members of the public who would like to understand what that money goes towards. Do they have to pay it? Are there a reduction in fees, for any reason? And so, we speak to people through that. And then just through our general program, as Kyle alluded to, all of the different kinds of outreach that we do through the Creek Stewardship Program, through stormwater pollution prevention, all of the outreach is really about educating the community about storm drains, about the stormwater system, about pollution prevention. And so in those opportunities, we talk to the people about the value, of the storm drain system and what this money goes towards.
Thank you. That's great. I just remember, I think I was somewhere in my 30s when I realized that water that goes into the storm drains on the streets goes into the creeks. And I just think that whatever we can do to help tie these things together for the public is really important, because this is so important to the environment and our water systems. Thank you.
Vice Chair Arnone.
Hi. So our stormwater system requires maintenance over time, and that has to be funded from something. Is this stormwater enterprise charge the only source of funding for maintenance on the stormwater system?
No, it is not. This is mostly to comply with our national NPDES permit. I believe that there's other funding sources going into major structural repairs and infrastructure. This does not go towards that.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, and I can add too, some of this funding goes towards to fund public works and doing maintenance and public works crews. And that is matched by funding from the general fund that also pays for public works to do maintenance of the actual storm drain system.
But it's correct that our water charges and our sewer charges can't be used to fund any of the maintenance on the stormwater system. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I guess my ultimate question is, do we have enough money to maintain the system? And I believe the answer to that is no. And I believe part of the reason for that is that we haven't adopted a fee schedule of some sort to fully fund all the maintenance required. And I further believe that part of the reason we haven't done that is because virtually no other water district in California has imposed such a fee in fear of being sued. So I guess really my question is, has anybody been sued yet and taken the first shot at getting a funding source going?
It's an excellent question. It's complicated. The city of San Francisco is in litigation right now for similar works.
Okay.
I'm glad that you asked, because to your point, you will be hearing from us in the next few months. The city and our department is doing a storm drain master plan where we are evaluating the state of the entire storm drain system, conditions assessment, modeling, and then what I think is really the most important part is quantifying the amount of money that we need to be putting into the system every year and over time to shift from being a really reactive program to being a proactive program. And then beyond those dollar amounts, what are our funding options for, going back to the public, going back to the drawing board to get new sources to be able to, as you said at the beginning, adequately fund the system. So you'll be hearing a lot more from us pretty soon, actually, on that exact topic.
And I would assume that kind of a master plan is going to be necessary if we ever get to the point of wanting to adopt a fee schedule. We're going to have that kind of document ready. So I'm glad to hear we're making progress. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Treasurer Burke?
Through the chair, sorry, I was having trouble with my microphone. To your point, Vice Chair Arnone, it's an excellent question. We have the stormwater assessment, which really provides for the most part for our regulatory compliance with our permit and some minimal maintenance. And as was pointed out during the presentation, there is no funding for infrastructure, for replacement, repair. We are saving up as minimal amounts as much as we can when we can. When the stormwater assessment was adopted back in 1996, I think there was an anticipation that general fund would continue to be available and support for this system. And as you well are aware, we are continuing to have less and less general fund available, more and more constraints on the fund. And so we do really consider that concern. We share the same concern about having funding available for our storm drain system. We were, people way before us had the great foresight to put an assessment in place and get it in place. We now have the complications with Prop 218. And even though there was some changes that were made to allow for the potential for a utility to have a rate base, as mentioned, no one's quite done it yet, although maybe close. And we'll see where that goes. To that end, the master plan, we are very much looking forward to having that information and including possible opportunities for how we can continue to look for additional funding, whether it's an additional assessment, whether it's looking to go towards, more of a rate base if that's feasible. But we absolutely hear you. We share your concerns. And it's critical that we at least keep this piece and get it collected in the most feasible, cost-effective way, which is through the property tax roll.
Thank you.
Any other board member questions or comments? All right, we'll open it up for public comment on item 8.3. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the action item for the Board of Public Utilities to recommend to the City Council at their August 19th hearing to adopt a 2/3 vote for the Stormwater Enterprise Charge Report and approve placement on the Sonoma County property tax rolls to be collected by the county. And that's it.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Board Member Mullen, seconded by Vice Chair Arnone. This time, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Board Member Wright?
Aye.
Board Member Mullen?
Aye.
Board Member Bartholow?
Aye.
Vice Chair Arnone?
Aye.
And Chair Galvin?
Aye.
And that motion passes unanimously with Board Members DeWitt and Badenford absent.
Thank you again. Item number 9 on our agenda is public comments on non-agenda matters. If you wish to make a comment on non-agenda matters, please move to the podium. Seeing none. We have no referrals. We have no written communications. Do we have any subcommittee reports? Okay. Any board member reports? Director's report.
Thank you, Chair Galvin and members of the board. I have a short report for you. First, a reminder, we've been in front of the board before to let you know about the Santa Rosa Creek watershed flood study that we have been working on in the last couple years in coordination with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Association. So in coordination with FEMA and the County of Sonoma, we will be hosting a virtual community meeting on Wednesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. on Zoom. It will address the release of the preliminary flood risk maps for the Santa Rosa Creek watershed. So they are out, they are available, they're on our website, and participants will learn how to determine if their property was included or is included in the flood maps, what next steps would be, including the appeal and comment period and how they can participate, flood insurance requirements, and resources available to assist residents and property owners. So again, that's going to be on Wednesday, September 10th at 6 p.m. on Zoom. And then second, I wanted to let the board know that once again, we participated in and hosted a portion of the Mike Hauser STEM Academy. It took place in 2 days in June. And the STEM Academy is made up of 8th grade students from this area and looking to motivate them as they enter high school and begin to make important course decisions, hopefully encouraging them to consider science, technology, engineering, and math. We had great 2 days. The students were both at the Laguna Treatment Plant and the Utilities Field Office. They were introduced to a lot of the different work that we do, as well as hands-on learning activities, and all the way through a tour of the treatment plant. And we received a lot of cards and letters just from the students who really appreciated the time. They were very excited to learn from our staff, and so I just wanted to let the board know. It was a great participation again this year. I hope to continue to participate year over year, as I think it's really important for us to continue to expose our younger generation to what we do and a potential future. And a big thank you to all of the staff that participated. They did a great job and really inspired the students. And that's my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? All right, we'll open it up for public comment on item number 14. If you wish to make a comment, please move to the podium. See no one rise. That concludes our agenda for today, so we're going to adjourn to our next meeting, and we'll adjourn today in honor of Andy Allen and his retirement. We are adjourned.